Are you an expert in firearms?
If you're referring to the statement I made, there was a member who was a veteran. I respect very much people's service to our military, who said that he had been an expert. I told him I might not be an expert to the same extent he is, and I'm certainly not an expert to the same extent that people who work for decades at ATF as firearms experts who examine the mechanics, velocity speeds.
Okay, I'll take that as I'm not an expert at some level. Are you an expert on tobacco?
I spent my career as a federal prosecutor putting gang members, violent criminals, cartel cases.
No, I appreciate that.
That's my background.
Yeah. So I want to get the yes or no's. Try to make it quick. I'm not expecting a yes, to be honest. You're not an expert on tobacco. You're not an expert on guns. Are you an expert on explosives?
I have prosecuted cases involving the attempted terroristic bombing of a bridge in Ohio, near Cleveland, where you're from. I have dealt with the firebombing of the Mansfield, Ohio.
Do you know what PETN is?
I'm sorry?
You know what PETN is?
I don't hold myself out as a technical expert in every aspect of firearms, but I'm an expert in dealing with violent crime.
So you know what a prosecutor knows. You have no expertise specifically in what the men and women of the ATF in various stages are experts on. Is that correct?
Respectfully, ATF is a law enforcement agency. I have worked with ATF and law enforcement agencies, including police, my whole career.
I'm trying not to get frustrated over not getting an answer to yes or no, so let's move on. During your earlier testimony, you just said that that you look at behavior to decide about rulemaking. Is that correct? That's what I heard.
What we look at is we look at the entire...
Okay, I have very limited time, and I only ask for you can expand afterwards, but a yes or no. You said you looked at behavior.
I don't recall the exact words. What we look at is we look at the laws that Congress passes and the public safety threats facing America.
Okay. So as you look at behavior, which the record will show you were saying, does the Second Amendment, the Constitution, forgetting about statute, because you can forget about statute, Constitution clearly trumps statutes. The Constitution has a right to keep and bear arms. Does behavior change the interpretation of the Second Amendment, in your opinion as an attorney?
I think the Supreme Court has ruled, and more than once, that the right to keep and bear arms is an individual right possessed by Americans.
So we have a right to keep and bear arms. You spent a lot of time talking about various things. Today we're talking about the brace at some length, I suspect. Does the brace increase the accuracy of a pistol, in your opinion, to the extent that you know?
Congress said...
No, don't answer. No, excuse me. I have limited time, and I insist on your answering the questions I ask, or don't waste any of our time. To the extent that you know enough to have proposed a rule that bans or registers braces, does a brace increase the accuracy of a pistol?
My understanding is that Congress determined that the ability to shoulder short-barreled rifles made them, quote, unusually dangerous.
You're not? Okay, unusually dangerous because it increases the accuracy.
Unusually dangerous because Congress said
so let's understand something. I appreciate you telling me what our body does, but you have two types of weapon, a pistol and a rifle. A rifle is more accurate than a pistol because it is better braced, correct?
Shouldered, I believe that Congress determined that when weapons could be shouldered and also concealed, that they were unusually dangerous.
Okay, so you're not answering any of the questions, but I'll put one more statement out there. Rifles are in, and look, I'm an EOD tech by training. I know more about explosives than I do about firearms, so we're just going to go through this. Having been a sharpshooter in the military, having been qualified, I know that my .45 is not as accurate when fired as a rifle. But nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the accuracy of a weapon somehow changes the category for purposes of the Second Amendment. By your saying that a brace is in fact going to limit the ability of somebody to have it, What you are clearly doing is you are making decisions based on your interpretation of behavior and risk and not based on the Constitution. So we look forward to additional dialogue with you. I would appreciate in the future that you really do consider whether or not a yes or no should be answered first before you go on with what Congress has passed. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.